I'm Bob Hallmark in our Longview studio today. Spring has arrived, and of course, that means the landscape has changed. And among all the greenery, wildflowers, particularly along Texas highways. And among those is the iconic bluebonnet. Now, the bluebonnet is the subject of some confusion, actually, as to whether you can or cannot pick it. There are is there deep history that goes along with this, and we're going to talk a little bit about that now as Jeff Williford with TxDOT joins us. Let's start there at the beginning, Jeff. My understanding is the bluebonnet goes way back with TxDOT. Is that right?
Yeah, so we not a lot of people know this is that the wildflowers that you see throughout Texas, TxDOT has a big part of why they're there. It's been for over 90 years that we've worked to conserve and preserve the wildflower species, not only flowers but also wild grass. But I think the most iconic is definitely the bluebonnet. It's the state flower, the state that Texas is known for, and so we're very proud of that. We spend a lot of time with seeding, making sure that those wildflowers are done properly. I believe TxDOT as an organization buys about 30,000 pounds of seed each year. And it's about 800,000 miles of right of way that we have these seeds planted. And so I believe there's over 5,000 species of wildflowers, but of course the bluebonnet is the one that everyone knows and remembers. But it's a very proud thing that we do, and we will continue to do that. We have throughout Texas, here in the Tyler district, we have certain maintenance workers and employees that are kind of our wildflower people. So they're the ones that are kind of over the seeding and things. So it's definitely a big part of what we do.
Now, of course, it's really a rite of spring. Once we see the wildflowers, we know spring's pretty much here to stay. We've usually, it's usually a year right around Easter, somewhere in there, that we get our last cold spell, and then the flowers begin to appear, and suddenly there's this burst of color all over the place. However, the bluebonnet is a subject of some controversy through the ages. I don't know where it got started, but there for a long time was a standing belief that the bluebonnet could not be picked. Where are we on that?
Well, you're right. There is some confusion. I know there's a lot of lore, I guess, around you better not pick that. It's the state flower, or it's something that you can't do. It's not illegal to pick a bluebonnet. It is, I think, from TxDOT's perspective and from our perspective, it would be highly frowned upon. They are, like you said, they're one of the icons of our state. It does take a lot to get them growing. You'll notice some areas along highways you don't see a lot of them, but some you see just vast amounts of bluebonnets and wildflowers. Part of that is because people are staying off of it. They're not interrupting the growth in any way. We encourage people to do the best you can. If you want to take pictures with them, that's awesome. I think everyone has done it. It's just, be careful kind of where you go, where you walk. You don't want to go on someone's private property. That is definitely frowned upon. You don't want to get in trouble by doing that. And so you'll notice we encourage people, don't stop on the shoulder. If you see a nice place a bunch of bluebonnets or wildflowers, try not to stop on the shoulder. It can be very dangerous. And so try to find a rest area, trying to find a parking lot, somewhere with enough parking and enough space around you and moving traffic to be able to get out and take pictures. And then,
There's where we get into the areas of, yes, it is legal. Technically, it is legal to pick them. However, there's a way that you have to do it. For
yeah,
instance, you can't pick it off of a federal or municipal buildings property. You can't pick it off of private property. And you don't want to actually drive on bluebonnets if you can help it, I guess.
yeah. Again, try to stay off of the bluebonnets and wildflowers. Off of our right of way, trying to drive on there is definitely frowned upon. But yeah, we also just want to be safe. We want motorists to be safe, especially this time of year when they see a lot of growth. There are definitely places where that you could find a place to park safely and get out and take some of those pictures. Always something for Instagram, you know. But yeah, we encourage safety by doing this, but also encourage people to enjoy the bluebonnet and all the other wildflowers.
Now, this is most prevalent, and I know I've been there. If you have not been to the hill country, I know that there are just miles and miles of hill country that have these bluebonnets all over. When would be the peak season for that? Would that be late March, April, somewhere in there?
Yeah, I'm, you know, we're kind of in it right now. Really being able to get out and one, enjoy the weather. Maybe not today. I know it's a little bit overcast, a little bit rainy, but right about now is the peak time. They are all over. You can visit TxDOT.gov. Type in the search bar there, wildflower. It'll pick up, tell you about our wildflower program, but it also has a couple of brochures. It'll show you some of the best drives uh, for taking a look at some of the wildflowers. I know one's in North Texas. They call it North Texas, but it does kind of come into our district a little bit from on Highway 31 from Corsicana to Athens. Is one place that's in one of these brochures that could be a hot spot, and it goes from Athens up to Kaufman on 175, and then Kaufman to Ennis on 34, and then back down south to Corsicana. So it kind of makes a square or a round there. But those are some of the places that we encourage people throughout this brochure to go look. But yeah, there are definitely certain areas, definitely in the hill country that will pop at this time of year, all throughout Bernie and Llano, Johnson City, Fredericksburg, Lampasas, San Saba, and things like that. So it's definitely one of the best times to be in Texas.
Okay. Let's to close this out, we'll revisit the history a little bit. I don't know exactly when TxDOT started to seed wildflowers, but I know you're talking in excess of, about 90 years now. And the bluebonnet was among those. And now, from what I've read, it is native to Texas. It is, one of the great iconic pictures of Texas. But for those maybe wanting to know, this has been an ongoing process for TxDOT to continue to beautify the highways, but also it has a maintenance issue to it. When you plant these wildflowers, it cuts down the amount of area that you have to mow every season. Is that right?
Yeah, that is. It helps with water conservation. It helps with beautification, obviously, but also the maintenance costs are lowered because of this. We try to stay off of it, other than maybe reseeding in certain areas. But yeah, there's certain areas that aren't mowed. Those wild grasses that you'll see pop up in it, as well as the wildflowers. And so that's one of the definite positives behind our wildflower program. Texas was one of the first states. I'm not going to say it was the first. I think there's a lot of confusion on who got it going first, but Texas was one of the first, and so we're very proud of that. It's definitely one of the things that Texas can be proud of, and residents of Texas can be proud of, is people from all over, from out of state, from even out of the country, are coming here just to see these wildflowers.
Okay. Jeff, thank you so much. I appreciate the education there.
You're very welcome. Hopefully I was able to help you out.
All right. Absolutely. All right. And we will have much more on this story tonight on KLTV 7 News. For KLTV Web Extra, I'm Bob Hallmark.